This is 9 News at Noon.
And thanks for being with us, folks. I'm Jaron Jordan. Lauren Westbrook has the day off. We begin this afternoon with breaking news that no doubt sent a sigh of relief to the relatives of many of his victims. Serial killer Derek Todd Lee is dead. He passed away just before 9 o'clock this morning after having recent troubles with his pacemaker. Our Greg Merriweather has covered Derek Todd Lee and his murders from the beginning. Greg is here now with the latest. Greg, what can you tell us?
Well, Jaron, I just talked with some people in Gola. Jaron.
Greg, thank you so much. Perhaps no one wished to see Derek Todd Lee dead more than Lynn Marino. Lee is blamed for the murder of her daughter. Battling cancer, the feisty Lynn Marino said she hoped to live long enough to see Lee die. That did not happen. She passed away last spring, and that's when our Cheryl Mercedes first filed this report.
When convicted murderer Derek Todd Lee was Cheryl Mercedes, WAFB 9 News.
And reacting to this breaking news, one of the prosecutors in the case, Tony Clayton in West Baton Rouge, spoke to us about Lee's death, saying, quote, "I don't think it will ever end for the victims. They will always have this deeply embedded in their minds, how their loved ones were brutally murdered, but it does bring some closure." And we have continuing coverage of this breaking news right now on our website, WAFB.com. We'll be gathering more reaction throughout the day from the families of Derek Todd Lee's many victims. Watch for that on WAFB's 9 News at 5 and 6. Now let's get over to Diane Deaton in for meteorologist Steve Caparata. Another big story of the afternoon. We've got a possible threat of some severe weather.
Yes, indeed. Now this map has changed a little bit since this morning, Jaron, since we were on weather threats later on this afternoon.
Diane, thank you. That threat of severe weather causing some schools in Amite County to close early today. In just about an hour at 1 o'clock, those schools in Amite County will close. They'll reopen tomorrow morning. School officials decided to close early today because of that threat of severe weather that is expected to roll through. And also, just into the newsroom, public schools in East Feliciana Parish also letting out today at 1:30 instead of the normal 3 o'clock time. Students in Louisiana wanting to go to a private school can now start applying for vouchers through the state's voucher program. The program provides government tuition money for students from low to moderate income families. Students are only eligible if they're enrolled in a public school that received low accountability ratings. The deadline to apply is this coming Tuesday. In other news, an LSU professor fired by the university for what they saw as inappropriate behavior is now suing the school in a federal civil rights lawsuit. Teresa Buchanan, you see her there, a 20-year tenured professor, says LSU fired her last summer because she used some controversial four-letter words that the university deemed as sexual harassment. The lawsuit says in part, one student complained about the professor's use of sexual language in the classroom. Her attorneys say her termination violated her right to free speech.
When I use language that some people might deem inoffensive, which
Buchanan says she wanted her students to be prepared for language they could hear from parents or children. Buchanan would like to be reinstated at LSU. A spokesman for the university says while they have not been served with the suit, they are confident they did the right thing. We have a 9 News update for you this afternoon on a bank robbery in Baton Rouge earlier this month. Baton Rouge police say 51-year-old Gregory Chisholm, you see him there, has been arrested in connection with the robbery of the Chase Bank on Government Street. Authorities say Chisholm was arrested by state police over the weekend for trying to rob a casino in Lake Charles. We're told Chisholm is being brought back to Baton Rouge right now, where he will be booked with first-degree robbery. Tanwir Bhatti, the contractor arrested this week accused of swindling thousands of dollars from older homeowners in Baker, has been moved to St. Tammany Parish. Bhatti was arrested for the second time yesterday in East Baton Rouge before being moved to Slidell for booking. Officials in St. James Parish say they have also issued 2 new warrants for Bhatti on similar charges. Investigators say more could follow. Taking you now to Marksville, Louisiana, where an attorney for one of the officers accused of killing a 6-year-old boy says he hopes to have his client out of jail before the weekend. Attorneys for Derek Stafford say his family has the money needed for the $1 million bond. They say paperwork issues are the only thing keeping him in jail. Stafford and Officer Norris Greenhouse Jr. are both accused in the death of young Jeremy Martis in Marksville. Greenhouse already bonded out late last year. A set of human remains found earlier this month in Avoyelles Parish have now been identified with help from the folks at the LSU Faces Lab. Forensics confirm the remains are those of 35-year-old Ray Paul Lackney. Lackney was reported missing by his family in September, but he was last seen in July. Still ahead on 9 News at noon, our rainy weather no match for the blizzard threatening the mid-Atlantic states. We'll take you to the nation's capital where feet of snow are expected through the weekend. Plus, we'll introduce you to this woman, a woman defying all odds and breaking through the NFL's glass ceiling. Stay with us. Weather is already wreaking havoc in the Northeast. Take a look. This is Washington, D.C. Last night paralyzed by just an inch of snow. And as Craig Boswell reports, now a much bigger storm is on the way.
Hundreds of crashes across CBS News, Washington.
Airlines are allowing passengers to rebook for free to avoid the storms. Check out this view of the northern lights taken from 1,000,000 miles above the Earth. Astronauts Scott Kelly and Tim Peake snapped these images of the aurora borealis from the International Space Station. The natural light display happens when a burst of the sun's gas and magnetic field causes a solar wind. That wind hits the Earth's atmosphere and boom, let there be lights. If you're not in space, you can see the polar lights from the ground, but no doubt these images from above are pretty spectacular.
Oh, that's gorgeous. And that just talks about the beauty in that respect of Mother Nature.
Absolutely.
And I tell you what, it's pretty for a few minutes to see snow.
Yeah,
For
but
a
when you're
few
dealing
mo-
with what those folks are dealing with
Oh,
in D.C.
no.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And you know, we're talking about that major system that's heading to the Northeast, but wow.
We're both from the Midwest. We're used to some snow, but
About
grateful
the-
that we're not dealing with anything
Oh
that
my
the
gosh.
East Coast is
And
dealing
you
with.
don't have to go out and cover it early
I
in
don't
the
have to
morning
do
for
it.
us.
I don't have to do it, but we
No.
know that you and the entire team
Yep.
tracking that
We're gonna be
threat
here
of severe
today,
weather
yeah.
throughout the day. Thank you, Diane. Well, don't go anywhere. Right after the break, we've got a story of a remarkable young woman breaking barriers in the NFL. We'll be right back. A woman named Catherine Smith is making professional football history. The Buffalo Bills has hired her as an assistant coach, making her the first woman in that role in the NFL. Elaine Quijano has more.
CBS News, New York.
We'll be right back with one more look at your first floor forecast.
The evening and into the late night.
All right, we'll see you tonight at 5. Have a great afternoon.